Hi there and welcome back to week 3 of this month where we're looking at breathing. So this week we're looking at diaphragmatic breathing, which means, as you probably gathered, it's to do with the diaphragm. Now, what is the diaphragm? I think most people have an idea. It's that vague muscly thing down here somewhere, and when it spasms, that's when you hiccup. So I like to talk about it as a hot water bottle. Bear with me. The diaphragm is a sheet of muscle that separates the thoracic cavity from the digestive cavity, which means it's separating the lungs, the heart from things like the intestine, and I believe the liver will be under there as well, if I've got my biology right. So this sheet is going to curve all the way round like this, upwards and inwards like this, under your ribs a little bit. But rather than how this is just curving over like this, I need you to imagine a hot water bottle, or the rubber of a hot water bottle that's almost draped like an umbrella. So if you imagine those old-fashioned umbrellas that come all the way round, if you imagine that as a sheet of rubber inside here, and when at rest it's curved like this. So when the muscle isn't working, when it's just chilling out and watching the game, it's looking like this. Now, it's a huge muscle, as you can see, and already I hope you're starting to appreciate how much bigger it is than either the intercostal muscles or the clavicular muscles. There's a whole bunch of them up here that are lifting up this clavicle. They're all tiny, tiny muscles that are lifting it. So suddenly we've gone from small muscles to this massive sheet of muscle. And this is why you'll find a lot of people bang on about diaphragmatic breathing. So what are you actually doing? What's happening is that at rest, this diaphragm, remember, it's more like an umbrella, so it's going to be curving this way and that way as well, looks like this, and it's attached to all of the base of the lungs. When you then engage that muscle, tense that muscle, it's going to pull down and out. And as soon as you do that, you're pulling with you the lungs down and out. And that is suddenly increasing the volume capacity of your lungs and pulling in a huge amount of air. Now let's take this onto the floor so you can see a little bit more what I'm talking about. So you've got yourself on the ground. Make sure you're comfortable and make sure that you're not sitting up and there's too much of an arch in your back, but similarly make sure that you're not completely flat like that. Get a nice intermediate position if you can. So you're going to put your fingers together and you're going to put them on your belly around here. You'll get the feel for it, because what we're wanting to do is, as we're breathing in, those fingers are going to come apart, and then as we breathe out, those fingers are going to come together again. Now the reason we're lying on the floor is to do with gravity, and actually it's easier to breathe through your diaphragm when you're lying on the floor, because this is actually the path of least resistance for air to come through. If it were to come through and for you to use your chest muscles, that will be almost working directly against gravity. I'd be having to almost bench press my entire chest upwards using only my intercostal muscles. And that's quite hard. So actually it's easier when we're lying down to use the diaphragm coming up and out, or down and out. So play around, and you'll know when you've got it because your fingers will come apart. And what I want you to do is just think about what's going on. What muscles are you using? What's moving? What sensations can you feel? And the important thing is that you're going to feel your tummy coming up and out, and that is so anti what we're told in life, the social media and everything tells us. So you just have to let that go and ignore it, because otherwise you're not going to be breathing properly. So and that's all you're doing, and I just want you to get a feel for that, how it's working, what muscles you're using, so that when we stand up, you can take that and use it again in the standing up, where it's harder to start engaging that diaphragm if you're not used to it. So really think about what muscles are going on here, what's being used, how you're using this area, and what's moving in this area. And sometimes what helps is to literally push your tummy out like that, almost to help pull the diaphragm out almost. So that's what we're looking at. So try that, and I'll see you upright again in a minute. Okay, so hopefully now you've got the idea. You've been on the ground, you've laid yourself down, you've had your fingers on your tummy, you've felt those fingers move apart, you know that you're using your diaphragm. You've been able to roughly separate that from your chest. Now again, let's try it standing up. So we're going to have our fingers together again, on around our tummy, around our belly button, so that we don't have to lean forward to look at what's going on, because that's kind of going to miss the issue really. So I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. So what we're trying to do, and the best way to describe it is to push your tummy out. And that is very much against what a lot of people feel they want to do. And so diaphragmatic breathing to begin with can be very difficult, because people really don't want to push that tummy out. But you have to really. So what we're looking for is just be standing nicely upright. So there's nothing, no posture issues that are going to change how things feel. And we're looking to make sure that our chest doesn't rise. So breathing in from the diaphragm only. So isolate those muscles you found. And again. And out. And that there is your diaphragm. So just practice that. Try doing that. And that really is what it's about. Trying to separate it off from the thoracic breathing of that chest. If you need to move it forward into the chest, yeah, that's fine. Just make sure you breathe out in the order you breathed in. Diaphragm first. And make sure nothing up here gets tightened. You guys take care, and I'll see you next week.